In a world filled with conflict, in a universe comprised of differences, there's one thing that absolutely everything shares in common. We all exist. Including two guys named Jack and Michael, who like to chat about that very thing over a good cup of coffee. Let's pay them a visit, shall we?
Existence Brewing.
I'm good. Looking at me like I haven't taken my extra Prozac today. Fluoxetine latte, please. Hey, Gwen, how are you? Like the hair. I like the thing. The thing with the thing. Never mind, you're busy. I will talk about it later. The thing you got going on. Right? That's good.
All right, I'm here.
Michael Elliott appears.
Yeah, I see Gwen got a haircut today.
She's doing this thing. You see the thing with like the little, the thing with the pink thing. She's got like the pig. I would call it a pigtail, but it's not really pig. It's more like an anchovy that's sticking off the back of her head. Don't tell her I said that. She may not like it.
Is it some form of jewelry or what is that?
I don't know. It's a statement in my world, though. That's what that is.
I think it's required if you work here that you have to have some form of flair.
Existence Brewing needs to do something similar to what we talked about once before, the Starbucks thing, where baristas get to write some of their emotional convections on your cup for the day. Except we need to streamline it more so that because it's EB, they have to say something that will keep you, existing to the best of your ability throughout the day. And they get to know you as a person being your barista every day. So it has to be tailored to the person. It can't just be this like, your awesome sauce, dip your favorite goodies in it today and have fun. It's just like, so wait a minute, I'm the sauce and I'm dipping something in it and then eating it. Isn't that like half cannibalism? Like, come on, you have to do better than that. It has to be, for me, I don't know. Boy, for me, that'd be kind of tough. But
do you think the employee manual has to outline like how long they have to spend on each cup, like while they're writing?
I would almost guarantee you the employee manual, I don't know about that, but I'll bet you it's a PDF file for one thing. And it's probably 700 pages long and they're adding to it daily. Like no one would ever read the manual before they signed on for the job.
All right, so we're going to share.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Have you ever read the manual from cover to cover before you've signed on with a job?
No.
Neither have I. Yet I've worked with someone who did.
Oh, really?
She's a very strange person, too. I have her figured as troll. Nothing less than full-on troll from another dimension. She hissed at me. She's one of the two people that have ever hissed at me in my whole life. One of them was that reptilian woman that I told you about.
Yeah.
I was out in front of Starbucks
lot.
And she parked her Bentley and then came walking up and she knew right away. She smelled light worker from a mile away and she was not having it.
Yeah.
But then this troll thing, she hissed at me. Here we are again.
How does that work, by the way, with the lizard people? I've never really quite understood that theory.
You've never gone fully down the David Icke rabbit hole before?
No, I know. The only thing I know about it is that it has to do with some pizzeria, and
that comes much further down the road. That pizza, is that you're talking about the Pizzagate?
Pizzagate, yeah. Is that the lizard people?
That's long. That's neo, like reptilian stuff. That's more modern. We're talking, those are people that are supposed to be either lizards themselves or associated with lizards, but may not actually be lizards. These could be humans that are.
They could be hybrid lizards.
Well, they're in with the lizard faction because they're helping assist. They're helping assist them. That's good, especially from an editor. They're assisting their cause here on Earth by paving the way for shady corporate deals that make.
Okay, they're the minions.
Yeah, exactly. They're constructing golden parachutes in a warehouse somewhere in Bhutan.
So where do these lizards come from? That's what I want to know.
They're from the prevailing theory is that they are from the Draconis system, that they're from Alpha Draconis, I think it's called, or something like that. They're from the Draconians are like the ones pulling the strings on the Reptilians, because there's also the Draconian, and the Draconians are like dragon people. They're like big, and they have wings, and they're like demons, and they're supposed to be. A lot of people think that that's what our biblical ancestors were seeing when they were describing demons, was real life flesh and blood Draconians that were here on Earth, again, commingling and just
or the giants that are referenced in the Old Testament of the Bible.
Not so much like the Goliath thing. That's thought that maybe they were actually the prevailing theory on the giants is that they were basically like freaks, that there was a lot of gene splicing going on in those days, if you know what I mean. There's a whole offshoot of the thing with the centaur.
But that doesn't have to do with the lizard people.
No, the reptilian thing, there's a lot of tubules that you can dive into with that. And it's pretty interesting. I remember when I stumbled across it for the first time years ago, and I took, the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and went all in and listened to the whole presentation. And I came out the other side thinking, well, what you've just heard is either one of the most elaborately constructed fictional tales to sell books that I've ever heard in my life, or it's all fucking true, and you're living part of it right now. It's the dots that connect are quite impressive. But any way you slice it, it's fun. To me, it makes life fun, interesting, because we've learned over time that the truth, it's hard for us to get in the mindset. I know everybody always, the flat earthers are back, by the way, but it's hard to get into the mindset and empathize with a person who lived 500 years ago in a culture that truly, honestly, without question, believed that the earth was the center of the universe, not just the solar system as we know it, which was missing about 4 planets, which had yet to be discovered, but the center of all creation was Earth and humanity. And since then, look at the expansion that's occurred just by empirical evidence, gazing through optics and making star charts and math. We've come a long way in our understanding of what's real or tangible, and it would blow the people's mind. People were heretics. They got boiled in oil, burned alive, defleshed with iron rods back in the day for saying things that were against the churchy version.
Well, look at the Salem witch trials, right?
Well, is it so outlandish to now that 60% of the people on the planet, or really the United States, has kind of been the hard sell, because a lot of the planet knows that ETs have been real for a long time because they're part of their mythology, they're part of their history, and it's nothing not to believe. It's like, well, of course there are beings from other worlds, and they helped shape the earth. That's what they believed deities were in so many, but not here in the West. That was a hard sell. But now that we're up to 60% of people believing that if UFOs that are authentic, or extraterrestrial intelligences, or whatever we're supposed to call them now, biological entities, EBIs, they're real, and they're here, or they're coming here, or they could come here, or whatever. Is it so outlandish then to suggest that one faction of them has in fact infiltrated the seedy underbelly of the worst part of humanity, which of course is big government and big money corporations and things like that, and is making it even more rotten than it already is, and puppeteering us as a result to its own designs? I don't think that's too outlandish to suggest, quite honestly.
It's a theory,
And I don't know that I don't buy it. There are many days when I say, I pretty much full on believe it. As far as reptilians themselves go, I would say absolutely yes. Something that we would hail as a reptilian. I don't know if the backstory is correct about where they come from and the fact that the Draconians are their masters and all this. I don't know about that. I can't profess to say that I'm in one way or another on that. I probably have to watch more episodes of Thundar the Barbarian to tell you that. it's fun. I mean, come on, again, let's not get too serious about this living thing, because even if we are being controlled by a race of fourth dimensional beings that want to suck our souls and, like feed off of all of our fear and the worst energies that we could possibly conjure, makes life interesting. I mean, it's
Right.
another reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Well, and I think we get into the anatomy of the conspiracy theorist, and that really, you used an analogy there about the universe that also is used by Carl Sagan when he explains the universe and how we know very little about the universe. And when you start to actually go down that rabbit hole, which is obviously more fact based, then this is not a podcast about lizard people. Let's just state that right off the bat. It was, wasn't it?
We can talk about it.
We can talk about it. We talk about a lot of things. But no. Carl Sagan actually uses this same analogy when it comes to how much we really know about the universe now, and even what we thought we knew about the universe, and how wrong we were, and how even now the James Webb Telescope is providing just some ridiculous evidence of how the universe does operate. And have you heard about this new theory on black matter and
dark matter?
Or dark matter? Yeah.
Dark matter, yeah.
And how the universe is actually filled with dark matter.
Mostly of dark matter. Yeah.
And there are these new kind of theories and ideas that are being discovered. Physicists, I always have a hard time with that word for some reason. I don't know. Physicists are having a very hard time coming to grips with their old knowledge and this new knowledge, and trying to go, okay, wait a minute, this is starting to rewrite the book on how we even realize the universe to operate. And I think that's part of that conspiracy theory formula. You take something that is fantasized, or maybe you wish it was true, or you would like to just let your imagination wander, and then you take something that really is factual, and you just kind of skirt the line with it. And then, of course, you have to also have these elaborate, like you said, understandings of these invisible people. And I think the same thing is done, as we've talked about in some of the UAP corners, when it comes to these different civilizations that exist in the universe, and how some of these people who are so-called experts have actually met most of these different civilizations. And you just kind of walk away going, how is it that we don't all know about this? If you know so much about these people, how is it that we don't all know about this?
A lot to unpack there. First of all, I think we have to go back to the term conspiracy theory if we're going to start using it as the tagline for the nucleus of our discussion today. Because remember, the term conspiracy theory was in fact developed by the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, made up that term to try and it was formulaic in the sense of it's a dismissive term. It's dismissive language for what people will cook up to try to make us look bad. And to me, that's not too difficult to make many governments look bad. And it's not the governments themselves. It's just the byproduct in whole of what the people who are at the top of them or who run them tend to do. It's the byproduct of their actions to try and control people. Because remember, that's what the government's job at the end of the day is to keep a lid on, however many 100 million people they have in their country. And that's a big job. And so you do that through a lot of means of control, because without that, you have essentially anarchy, even in an individual sense. And that's dangerous for business, the business of being in government. So to me, there's a big sociological hole to go down there too. But skipping over that and just remembering that the term was created to try and make people look nutty who were suggesting Nixon's doing this, or, who was LBJ, his people, they shot Kennedy. And now that's widely accepted. For me, you have to remember where I'm coming from. My journey here is almost, I would say, antithetically completely to a physicist, because of physicists, after all, physicist, they're a person who studies the dynamics of physics, the underpinnings of physical reality, what makes it so, what properties does it have, what governs it, how does it do this, how does it design, what's its design, how does it function, it's about physical reality. And I'm less impressed with physical reality than I am with the glue that binds it all together. And that's this metaphysical side. That's this piece that we would call spiritual, perhaps. And maybe that's what the dark matter is literal physical trails. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there, but maybe this is literal physical trails, trace evidence of that side of the glue that binds this together. We talk about ghosts or spooks or specters or goblins or reptilians even, or these other things that are cryptic in nature and we're not quite sure what they are. If they're spiritual in nature to one degree or another, maybe these are the trace elements of that. And so that's where we get into parapsychology and all these other things. So, but I don't think that Bruno's thoughts, for example, of us going around a star that was the center of one individual construct within a universe of many, and suggesting that back in the 16th century, I think it was, might have been the 15th, but I love Bruno. He's great. He was burned alive for his theories. He got away with talking about them openly for a while, but then the church decided, it's time for you to go. They imprisoned him for a while. That didn't work. And then it was time for him to go. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory on his part. I don't think he's trying to conspire with anybody or anything to forward an opinion that would be objective in design. I think he was just positing, hey, they're all saying this, I'm going the other way, and suggesting that it could be this way. And so when it comes to science, I think Judge Judy, who admittedly I watched occasionally when she was on TV and didn't look like she'd been sucking adrenochrome, at least 4 or 5 times a day from a milkshake. She had an episode where she talked about an old term in the law, where she said the law is an ass. And it basically was meant to say that, look, the law seems to be this institution that's really spiffy and perfect in so many ways. Its design is flawless and you can't get around. There's few loopholes, and it's basically completely just in all ways. And it's always going to ring true, even for the son of a bitch, because it works in his favor. But she's basically was saying that's not the way that it always works, that the law is an ass sometimes because it doesn't tend to side with people who have the best intentions. It leaves intent out of it because it can't judge intent. It can only judge facts. And this had to do with somebody who bought tickets to go see a Jerry Seinfeld show from a guy who couldn't go. So this guy bought the tickets originally. He couldn't go. He sells them online. This guy buys them. The guy who buys them from this guy goes to said show subsequently. Jerry comes out on stage, and as he is known to do, from what I understand, says to the crowd, guess what? I feel like working for free tonight. The show's on me. Everybody gets a refund.
No.
So, and I honestly don't remember whether it was the original purchaser who got the refund and the guy who bought them said, I'm now due that refund, or if the tickets were transferable and it was the guy who ended up going to the show who got it free and the original guy said, no, I want my money back.
Oh, no.
So I can double down. I sold them to you and I got my money there. Now I want my money back too. I honestly don't remember which it was, but in either case, this is what her judgment led her to saying that the law is an ass because it wants to side with the trail of money. But in this case, any judge, including myself, can't allow you to double down on this. Even though legally, in all the legalese we have, you win, you're not going to, because it's not okay. Okay? So therefore, the law is an ass and you lose. Good luck to both of you. And just move on with your lives and forget this. And try to not worry about petty things like a few $100s on some comedy tickets. Like, do something else. Worry about that. And so in that sense, I almost feel like science is an ass. The more that it shows us empirically, the more that it tells us, well, the universe we're staring into the universe, and here's the big burger, and we can see it, and we can take all these measurements, and we know. And it's so interested in knowing, and it's so interested in proving what's right and what's wrong. And well, this is wrong. We thought this was right forever. It's wrong. This is wrong. This is right. This is wrong. This is right.
Empirical. Yeah.
But in doing so, what's really happening there? Is it really leading us to some truth that we all are completely bound by, that's of the most interest to us? Because proving that the sun is the center of the solar system and the earth goes around it rather than the other way around, rather than the earth being the center and the sun goes around it, guess what? It didn't really change the way we treat each other or do business down here very much, did it? In fact, I don't think it changed it at all. I don't think it changed much. That's the people's court, by the way. But that works.
I like this theme music better.
We're going to get flagged for this. I just know.
I don't think so. I think TV themes. Right. I think TV themes are okay. So,
well, whatever.
I want to know: did the guy get his money back?
Like I said, I don't remember which it was, but what I think it was, the way I remembered, I'll have to look up the episode. Somebody out there listening is like screaming right now, going, "Oh, it's this episode, season 14, episode 95." Like I said, I watched it occasionally. I wasn't like glued to the set, but I like Judy's manner. I thought she had a good thing going for a while.
Well, let's walk through this case a little bit, because quite frankly, and of course, I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on a podcast. And so please do not take legal advice from me. Like those little taglines that you hear, not a real attorney, or not an attorney spokesman.
Exactly. Yeah. Michael Elliott is not a real attorney. Please do not call him for legal advice or seek. Yeah. I believe it was this. Guy buys Seinfeld tickets.
Right.
Can't go. Puts them online for sale.
Yeah.
Guy number 2 buys Seinfeld tickets.
Right.
Goes to show.
Yes.
Seinfeld comes out, says, guess what? It's on the house.
Right.
Guy number 1 says, that's bullshit. I want my money back. And Judge Judy said, no fucking way, because you're doubling down. And even though the law actually, in all the writings that it has, prescribes that, yes, you are in essence entitled to get the money back because you were the original purchaser of the tickets, I'm not giving it to you because, as she said, the law is an ass.
But he sold the tickets, so he received.
He did
something for them. The man who actually went paid for those tickets.
He did.
So then he is the one who receives the refund.
You'd think so, but like I said, I want to say it was the original purchaser that was after the money.
Yeah, he wouldn't receive it.
Well, his theory was this. This was kind of what I think was going. It's hard to like grab a hold of, but I think where he was coming from was, I buy this car, this new Hyundai.
Uh-huh.
We'll pick on them today.
Yeah.
I buy this new Hyundai, and I own it and drive it for a little while under warranty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sell it to this guy because for whatever reason, I don't want it anymore. And then while guy B is driving it, Hyundai comes out and says, all right, we're giving everybody $2,000 because of a class action lawsuit, because this car is dangerous in some way, and we had to and it put people in. So we got sued, a class action came up, and then so guy B, of course, says, perfect, I own that car. I'm going to get $2,000.
Car.
But guy A is waiting in the wings saying, no, I'm the original purchaser of that car. I should get that money.
And you know what I would say? It's null and void because ticket scalping is illegal in the state of New Jersey.
Oh, God. Is it, though? It's probably how a quarter of the income in the whole state is made, if you ask me.
This is the extended mix.
What is this?
This is part of the People's Court theme from...
What?
It says 80...
People's Court?
Yeah, from...
It sounds like an X-rated theme if I've ever freaking heard one.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
And I do not want to think about Judge Wapner getting head from under the bench. That's for damn sure. Judge Wapner was probably completely like sterile as a castrated bull. He was the crankiest old SOB too. God, he was cranky. Remember Bert, the security guard from Judge Judy's courtroom?
The bailiff,
As I recall, the guy's contract was for several $1 million. He got like $3 or $4 million. It may have been even more, 10 for all I know, something like that. It was an ungodly amount of money. Just to stand there and then take papers from people, and But the show and Judith she was very loyal to Bert, and so Bert literally did nothing and got all that money for it. What do you suppose Rusty got? The original courtroom bailiff from the People's Court.
He had a great head of hair, didn't he?
He has this snow job.
Yeah. He almost looked like a Bob Barker kind of, like just a very
big
full,
guy,
thick head of hair.
Talk about your former California State Patrolman.
Oh, yeah.
Rusty, the bailiff. Let's move to, I have a couple downloads today. One of them just kind of a thing that I guess they're both things that were given to me, things to think about. But one is probably worthy of diving deeper than the other. So I'll start with the one that seems to be less worthy of anything, a philosophical filibuster, let's put it that way. So I was just thinking about this. This is what I wrote down. How could God create the earth in 7 days? All right. When there was no earth yet to establish how long it takes to create one. Has anybody ever thought of that?
Oh, snap.
It only took God 7 days to create the earth. Right, but the earth has to spin for a full revolution in order for it to be considered a day. And in God's world, a day is probably just the same as a year or a millennia or an eternity for that matter. So how can the earth be created in 7 days when it's not even here yet to spin to form a day? That was my question, basically.
Yeah, no, I like it. So, so it's almost like he's stacking the plates as the lazy Susan goes around.
I guess. I mean, maybe, whatever, God built a lateral framework.
The being.
So the basic blueprint was already established for what a day would look like, and now he has to fill in the sphere. Maybe that was the deal.
Do you think God really did invent time, though? Like, did he invent the calendar, the 7-day calendar, or do you think that they just put that in the Old Testament so we would have a framework to work in?
I'm not sure. I gave up wanting to be a deity a long time ago. It's too much responsibility. I don't want to have to deal with the mail that piles up. All I can tell you is I love the movie Oh God with George Burns and John Denver. Whoever wrote it, I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. Whoever wrote it deserves...
I still need to see that movie.
Like a whatever they want, like a steak dinner or, whatever their thing is. I just remember when John Denver's character, Jerry Landers, was talking to George Burns' God in the movie about the creation of the earth. He was basically talking about how he wasn't a Christian, and he was still not understanding why God chose him to appear to, because he's not even a religious person. And so he says, I don't believe the Red Sea, and I don't believe Exodus, and something else. And he said, and I don't believe the earth in 7 days. And God, George Burns, looks at him and says, you're right. And he says, I am. And he says, tell you the truth, I thought about the thing for 6 days and did the whole job in one. It's just like, it's just like anybody would do, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, that sounds so perfect. Like if you had 7 days to do your homework, that's exactly, I mean, to me, that's how that thought was relayed to me. That line was, if you've got 7 days to do your homework, of course you're going to put it off for 6 days and think about it and then do the whole goddamn thing in one night, you know? So again, whoever wrote it was not only clever, but I think they were on the cutting edge of trying to, you know, get through a lot of the theological divide that was going on at the time. I mean, that was a very, you know, the country was very Christianized at that time. We're far less concerned with our moral compass now. If you haven't noticed, just walk outside or go to Walmart and spend 2.5 minutes. You'll see that in full force. I mean, so it was a really fantastic effort, I think, to defuse the whole argument about whose God was the right one that was going on at the time, and just level the playing field, level the terms of what, you know, a responsible and reasonably kind and, you know, non-overly vengeful deity would be like if he were tending to a flock. And I thought it was very good. I always really liked that movie.
All right, lay on the next one. You said you have a few of them for me.
Yeah, so there was one more we can talk about here, and this one may have a little more meat on the bone for us to discuss, but I like this one. I mean, I try not to toot. It sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm not. Remember, I consider these just gifts from the universe. They're just figs that are sitting on the tree, and I see them and just go, oh, may I have this? And the universe says, well, of course, take it. And so I take it. The big U, as I call it, gives these things to me. So the big U gave me this one, which I rather liked. I titled it Everything and Nothing. That's what matters. So they seem antithetical. They seem opposite. Everything and nothing. So if you ask me, Jack, what matters? What really matters in the world, in the universe, in life? I'd say everything and nothing. And then, of course, you'd say, why? And I'd say, well, everything, because we are the accumulation of all the things we have experienced and chosen to this point. So therefore, everything we've ever done is important. It's meaningful because we've done it and it adds up to something. Okay, well, tell me, why nothing then? And I'll say nothing because all of it, all that stuff that we've done to this point is potentially completely irrelevant to what we'll do next.
Oh, I like it. All right, now I got to go get into my backpack here. I got to get underneath the table and grab something. I'm going to read you something from the Tao.
Oh, cool. All right, very good.
All right, I got my book out here. I just actually read this one yesterday, and this is chapter 48 out of the Tao Te Ching. To work at learning brings more each day. To work at way brings less each day. Less and still less until you're nothing's own doing. And when you're nothing's own doing, there's nothing you don't do.
Very good, yeah. There's nothing you won't do to make that deal. So come on down, I'll sell you a car. You were working on car commercials earlier today, you were telling me, because you do voice work. So
yeah, I've got a car commercial to do right after the pod.
Oh, you're going to do it right after this? You're going to do Existence Brewing and then do a car commercial? How do you slip into that outfit after doing this? Doesn't it? It's an ill-fitting.
It's tough, but kind of like a lizard woman, I just kind of slide right into it.
I have a feeling that's not the last lizard woman I'm going to run into in my lifetime. That's for sure. So have you finished the Tao yet, or are you still working on it?
No, I'm still working on it. I'm almost done. I want to say I've got like 10 more chapters left. And for anyone who has never looked at the Tao Te Ching, it's very like, it definitely, when you start to read it, you know, you can read the whole thing in like an hour, but you can ponder its ideas for a lifetime. And it is very much just something that, I don't know, I've found that I like to pick it up every once in a while and then make little notes in the side margins, because it's, as you can see, like a lot of the chapters don't even fill up a whole page. I don't think you can really see that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of empty space on these pages, because each page is essentially just like a poem or a sonnet, or it's an excerpt from the Tao Te Ching. And so yeah, no, it's this is a book that I picked up on Amazon by David Hinton. It's the 4 Chinese classics, the Tao Te Ching, and a lot of other really cool works from Eastern philosophy. But it, I find that it resonates with some of your downloads.
Oh, I have always said that. I'm sure there's absolutely nothing new under the stars, or the sun, which is also a star, just technically, that hasn't been said in this either as the same way or a different way, or inferred or implied before. I mean, again, I think the thought or the theory, for lack of a better word, that I ascribe to is, or subscribe to, is that all things that are possible are already known. They already exist, and you just have to find them, or they have to find you. And that's part of the magic that goes on when we stumble upon things like inspiration, or when we stumble upon things like grace, or when we stumble upon things like serendipity. Those are reminders that that's the game that we're playing, that that's the deal that we've struck with ourselves. I mean, I don't want to get into another one to ruin it for another time, but remember, you're an inextricable portion, a small, tiny, but certainly important and not irrelevant piece of a much larger thing, of a much larger energy. But it can't persist without you. It needs you, and you need it. And so therefore, you're always linked together. So whenever you refer to the universe and you say, well, the universe is doing this, the universe is doing that, you're referring to what you're also, in some small way at least, doing to yourself. And that's the empowering part of the knowledge of that dynamic that's at play between what this thing we call yourself is and this thing we call the universe, or as I like to, refer to it as my buddy, the big U. Is they can't be separated. They're inextricable. If you took me or you, as we call ourselves, out of it altogether, everything goes away. We have to exist. And I know that may be difficult for us to swallow when it comes to folks like, let's nail Joe Rogan to the wall today, because I've heard his fucking name enough times this week, the shill bastard that I think he is. But nonetheless, whatever energy he is, he's an inextricable piece of this dynamic that continues to flux between the two things that are in fact all one.
Yeah, I give Joe Rogan, and I hear what you're saying there, but I do give Joe Rogan a lot of slack, because I think he is bringing people into the fold on a lot of very heavy topics that otherwise would not be engaged in this. And I think that some of the content matter that he brings up on his podcast is bringing new listeners to the table. And I think he gets into some content that's far deeper than maybe he gets credit for.
Can't say I'm a listener. I would tread very cautiously in that arena if I were you. He has massive, major corporate sponsors.
Absolutely.
He's taken all of Dr. Greer's previous interviews down with no explanation whatsoever. Remember, it's one thing to dive into the pool. It's another to be guided to the other side the way that the waters want you to. That's not the best analogy, but just what I'm saying is just because you talk about something doesn't mean that the way you're presenting it is not only accurate potentially, but also in the best interest of the listener.
So you're saying the brand in your view is maybe corrupted in some way?
I'm saying that in my personal opinion, without knowing Mr. Rogan or any of his dealings, first of all, I can't forgive him for Fear Factor. I know he's a young actor who's struggling and needs work, but
he needed the
come
job.
on.
He needed the job.
The second and bigger thing is anybody that's into two men beating the shit out of each other to the point where they're bloody and almost dead for the sake of sport is got something wrong with them.
We haven't talked about the cage match yet at the White House, have we?
I absolutely do not excuse the ultimate fighting horse shit. What kind of alpha male power trip garbage is that? Anybody who's spiritually released, anybody who's, you got to free yourself from that. Like, I can enjoy even a decent slasher flick when I'm in the mood, but I'm not going to carry it with me as a hobby, all the time.
Do you think that that's even going to happen?
What's that?
On the White House lawn?
On the White House, I haven't heard this.
The cage match.
Oh, I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
So,
see, I'm not plugged into that.
I don't know when it's going to happen, but apparently there's a promoter working feverishly to have a cage match on the South Lawn or one of the lawns. How many lawns does the White House have? I mean, but they're going to have a cage match on the property of the White House, and it's going to be televised, and there's going to be money generated because of it.
I think that would be fully indicative of the times that we live in, if it were to happen.
I still find it hard to believe that they would even do that, but
I mean, pugilism is one thing. That's hard enough for me to get around, but full on just, kicking and they don't let up. They, from what I've seen, the brief glances I've taken of it when it's been on TV, they beat the shit out of each other until they're almost dead. It's blood sport. It's not progressive, in my opinion, for humanity at all.
No.
It's time that the Circus Maximus finally packed up and left town for good.
I was going to say, it's very, very Romanesque, isn't it?
Yeah, even though the Romans, I think, gave us a lot more than modern society is giving us to really hold on to and take into the future for any good reason. But no, Joe's a target because he's a shill. Let's face it, the man makes a lot of money and he has a lot of corporate sponsors, and apparently he doesn't mind saying yes to all of them. And when you start taking down full-fledged interviews with someone who has drawn the ire of the dark factions of the government,
puppet masters,
he has, you really have to start raising an eyebrow. And Stephen has said in his own interviews, I've contacted Joe. I thought we were on the same page. I considered him a friend. I'm not sure, honestly, if he went that far, but it was certainly implied. He felt like he could get in touch with him and say, hey, why did this happen? You can trust me. If they threatened you, let me know. He received nothing. Stone cold silence. And so therefore, if Joe was contacted, and this is something that you have to be prepared for if you're going to lurch out into cyberspace and begin dealing with these issues from that side of the table, you have to be prepared for someone to show up in dark sunglasses with a cord sticking out of their ass and say, hey, you'd best not be doing this anymore, or you're going to find yourself in a grave at the edge of town. You have to be prepared to say, that's fine, I'm not going to stop. You have to be prepared to die for the cause, or to at least significantly be inconvenienced for the cause, I think.
Release
and
the
Mr.
tapes,
Rogan's
Joe.
not prepared to do that.
Yeah, release the tapes, Joe.
That's fine. But what he will get called in the absence of a spine in that regard, because he likes to watch other guys beat on each other's spines enough until they're almost broken, but he won't. His is so jellied that he's not going to allow himself to keep interviews up or say no. Surely he must have some kind of security that can protect him. Maybe he was faced with total ruin. Maybe it was, look, we're not going to kill you, but if you leave these interviews up with this guy who we're trying to get rid of because he's a pest, because it's all about this, light working and all about this advancement of society, we all know it's a money game. So we'll either pay you off to take him down, or we're going to completely ruin you and say that, what's the worst thing that an ultimate fighter could be other than be seen helping an old lady across the street without whacking her a good one to practice when he's not in the octagon. I forgot the octagon, right? Because we need 8 fucking walls instead of 4, like pugilism relies on to beat the shit out of somebody.
Oh boy, there's a lot there.
I can't forgive Joe for being a shill, but that's where he's at, and that's, I imagine, where he's going to stay. So he's very comfortable. He makes a nice living. He goes home and he has Perrier and he's got a sauna and all these things that he wants. Good for him. It's only going to last for so long, and then the world will go on without him and will not remember a fucking thing about him. Look at Howard Stern. I mean, I don't honestly think he's too far removed from Howard Stern. I know he does different, he's more of an interviewee. He's not as raunchy. He's not out to kill Dana Plato when she comes on the show. But I still don't think, I think he's in the same world. I think he's in the same bubble, quite frankly. And now Howard Stern has been disgraced by the world and lost his contract, and it's all over for him. And what is his legacy and all that? And it's just also ridiculous. But
well, in that case, I would say that he would be a shill, because if you're going to have a podcast in that format and then you're going to remove episodes and history as if it didn't exist, yeah, I would say there's probably a reason behind that.
The actual intent, again, we always seem to circle back to that. The actual intent of the show, my actual intent or yours, with putting out our feelings about something or putting out our thoughts on something at the time, I have no question. I would never question that at all. Never.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And I think that, we could always say a lot of things after the fact, but that's not the purpose of this forum.
And hey, check back in with me in 4 or 5 years when Existence Brewing is, on the top of this chart or another potentially. And there are $1 million contracts riding on what I say or what you say or all that. Not that, if that ever happens, maybe I'll change my tune. Maybe I'll come back and say, hey, all that shit that I hucked at Joe Rogan a few years ago, I understand where he's at now, because now I'm kind of there myself in the same world, in the same sandbox, and it's not as easy as I thought it would be. I highly doubt that I'll be saying that, though. Probably because the program will never reach the popular echelon.
I was going to say, that's a lot of pressure, man.
But it also could be because something similar will unfold, and I'll just say, see, I haven't wavered a bit.
Release the tapes.
And I get threatened every day, or I've never been threatened once. So I don't know. I'm still waiting. What the hell?
Well,
I don't know.
I think one of the challenges with having guests on any program is you are always, I think, at the mercy of the credibility of your guest. You and we've got no credibility other than each other, right? So, I mean, we know each other enough to be able to say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And we're okay with it. And I think that when you start getting the author of this or the publisher of that or the believer of this and the CEO of that or this politician and that politician, I mean, some of the guests that he has on that program are there mainly just to be part of the Joe Rogan experience audience, right? They're there to just try and tap into that.
It's a PR stunt.
That mass of people. Yeah, it's a PR stunt.
A PR stunt. Whatever his last name is, I don't remember. But remember,
Gravitas.
Joe also
got
high. Joe also got high with Mr. Elon on his show one time. Another big stunt. They both smoked a bong together, a blunt or something, and they both got baked on his show. Wow, that. Again, nothing could impress me more than, hey, let's get baked together on your show to show what cool guys we are. Sure.
Maybe we should listen to that on the next episode.
Maybe that's when Joe accidentally hit the delete button on those episodes of his program with Stephen
because
Greer.
He was high.
Whoa, dude, I think I just lost episodes.
We just lost Greer, man. We just lost Greer.
I don't have a lot of respect for people that purposefully dull their faculties so that the world is an easier place to be in. I know that may seem harsh, but that's where I'm at. And I thought that was pretty pathetic and despicable. Always had.
So is that a joint?
People, oh boy.
Or is it a cigar?
No,
Okay.
it's marijuana
It's
inside
weed.
of tobacco.
Oh, okay. So it's like pot tobacco
Yeah,
posh.
you never had that?
Yeah, I think I tried one once.
Come on, man.
He didn't.
I think I tried one once.
He didn't inhale though.
I mean, it's legal, right?
It's totally legal.
Okay.
How does that work?
How is it that this video wasn't taken down with two adults smoking marijuana, but yet you and I can't comment on baristas and Starbucks in a short?
I wonder why.
First turned on to it by
I
Charlie
wonder
Murphy
why that
and
is, huh?
reignited by-
This
By the
video
way,
has 1.8 million hits, and you and I can't even post a short talking about baristas and politics without getting flagged by YouTube.
Well, I'll tell you why, too. Not only is it the money that's involved, but it's also the fact that whatever it was that you wanted to post about baristas and, in the little short
Yeah.
was vastly more real, honest, provocative, interesting, and progressive than smoking a friggin' joint together when you're one of the richest guys on the earth at the time and now the richest, and Joe Rogan, the former host of a show where people eat caterpillars for fun and prizes.
Well, sir, we've almost got them. We have them talking about Joe Rogan and Elon Musk.
Because money is the corruptor here, and the corruptor isn't the money itself. The money is just the instrument by which gilded things are bought and sold. So it's not truly the money that's the problem. It's the people that are behind the money and the greed and the avarice that's behind the money. So to me, that's when the problem really comes in.
Do you ever find it odd that the word conspiracy theory always implies that it's of nefarious intent?
Yes, because usually it is. But people conspire all the time. Like, I really want those diamond earrings at Jared for Christmas, so I'm going to conspire to try to get my boyfriend to buy them for me by dropping all these hints over the next month leading up to Christmas, so I'll get what I want. And remember, that's always the intent. There's that word again at the end of a conspiracy theory, is to get what whoever's on the other end of that theory want is.
Or the old ladies at the church potluck who conspired to bake brownies.
Oh, yeah. What did they put in those brownies? You know what? We should send some of those to Joe Rogan. Maybe he can share them with Lech Luenza or one of his other guests on the podcast soon. We'll just tell him there's, pot in there. He can light them up.
First time I ever tried Spam was at a church potluck, and the lady had put it in meatloaf. And I tell you, I said, "What is in this meatloaf?" And they said, "Spam." And I said, "It's a brilliant ingredient. I would like more, please."
Brilliant ingredient. I'm penning the letter now. Dear Joe, hate your podcast, but was just getting fucked up with Duncan Hines the other night and thought of you. P.S. Steven says hi. Hi.
Release the tapes, Joe. Release the tapes.
Yep. Finish editing, in brackets, them again.
What
so
are
they
we
can go
listening?
back online.
What are we listening to, by the way?
Do you remember that album I showed you like a couple years ago that I bought, this Teeth?
Yeah.
And I said I paid like $400 for it. It's like super rare. It's this garage band from Southern California, like San Diego. This is a song from that LP. It's called X-Ray Eyes.
That was beautiful. Well, we lost the bumper music because we were talking too much.
Well, that's okay.
Well, until we meet again, folks.
Indeed.
Well, it looks like Jack and Michael have finished up their latest chat about all things existence. But if anything they said got your own existence brewing, Be sure and catch their other talks at existencebrewing.com and drop them an email to share your thoughts using contact@existencebrewing.com.
Existence Brewing.